I couldn't resist it. Can I introduce the next lot of speakers now? Ian Birch and the crew from CoLab. They will talk to us and show us, is reality really what you see? Welcome.
So, in the late 70s, and I was very young then, I'd just joined the Air Cadets and went off to RAF Honington. And in RAF Honington, it was a fighter base at the time. They had a flight simulator, and they asked if we wanted to go and see it. And I said, absolutely fantastic, that'd be brilliant. And we walked into a room, must be about this size, and there was a model, a scale model, about 30 meters long and about 10 meters high, set up on its end vertically. And this was a countryside in scale detail, 3D model. And over it was a big gantry with a camera. And as the pilots were training and flying these flight simulators, these cameras used to move around the whole of the scenery. So things have come on a long way since those days in artificial reality. And nowadays, you'll have seen in the media, there's a lot of talk about virtual reality and augmented reality and mixed reality. So what are we talking about here? Just baseline ourselves. Virtual reality is totally immersive. It's where everything you're seeing is a digital representation in some form of the reality that you want to be in. Next, we have augmented reality. And augmented reality is where you see the real world, but overlain on the real world, you'll see some kind of digital representation. If you go out during the breaks or lunchtime, you may have seen some of the AFI creatures that Kim and Maggie have put together. And then finally, and this is what a lot of the buzz is around at the moment, and that's mixed reality. So mixed reality is where the digital world seems to interact with the physical world, the real world. So in a room here, I can have a digital ball in my hand, drop it on the table, and the ball will bounce on the table, roll off the table, and onto the floor. So there are amazing possibilities with it. It's a transformational technology which we probably don't appreciate the impact of even now. So some friends of mine from CoLab are going to talk to you now about some of the things that we are doing here already in the university with artificial realities. Lauren's going to talk about using it for students and staff development, and then Maggie and Kim are going to be talking about how we relate to external communities and some of the community relations stuff we've been doing. And finally, Stefan's going to be talking a bit about the Sentience Lab and teaching. So over to you, Lauren.
Great. Okay. Cool. So, kia ora. Does it work?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So before I start, because it's that time of the day, 2 o'clock, where I see people nodding sometimes, just after lunch, I just would like to remind everyone that actually Ian is English, and we know what's going on in England at the moment. So before I really show you things we've been doing, I just would like to come back to some of the definition of VR, AR, and MR, because that's your British interpretation, but I would like to give you a sort of French Kiwi interpretation. So the VR, vodka and rum. Augmented reality, that's one way to see that, but it's more ale and rogue society, gin, and MR, it's more Max Gold and fantastic Riesling. So why I'm showing you that? For 2 reasons, and you will see why I'm showing you that. Basically, at the moment, there is a company called DG Capital that is planning, forecasting 120 billion US dollars revenue by 2020 in terms of VR and AR. So it's a very juicy market at the moment. And so the question when we've been discussing along the line of a few weeks before that presentation, people are saying, can we do VR at AUT? Can we do AR at AUT? Well, actually, we're doing it already, and we've been doing it the last 6 years already. So we are in a very good position here. We're quite on the most pioneer university in New Zealand doing that. And basically, all those products are produced in New Zealand, by the way. So what I would like to do now is to show you a very, very rough video summary about what we've been doing in the last 6 years, 7 years even sometimes. And I will come back to some numbers, and I will explain you what we're doing. All right? So hopefully it works.
Since 2010, we have been enhancing students' experiences and providing them with authentic collaborative projects. We are also supporting their capacity and creativity development within a global network through technologies such as augmented reality, virtual reality, and social media.
Since 2009, we are modelling professional practice and a conceptual shift in pedagogy towards heutagogy, from student-directed to student-determined learning. We are also creating a collaborative curriculum design environment enabled by technologies such as augmented reality, virtual reality, and social media.
So basically, just to explain that, we've been using mainly, I'm the mobile guy, by the way, so I'm the cheap one. I don't have enough money to buy any other things, that kind of stuff. So, and most of our students, they've got a mobile in their pocket. So we're trying to enable them to use both, actually, written component also, but video component. And basically, you can put that video, because all those devices, they're equipped with GPS system. You can put it on a map, Basically, then you can map your terrain, so you can put it on Google Map. From Google Map, you can expand that to Google Earth, and you can have a 3D, basically, visualization of content of your students. So some students use that very well in paramedics. Some people use that as well in aquaculture, for instance. We're doing field trip, they record stuff on that. And also I've been working also with Jeff, filming the end of the year awards, special awards here at AUT. So that's what we are. And where is the criminology girl? I'm your friend, because we're doing also online collaboration with students and institute collaboration. So we're providing both blended learning. So the students are a little bit more free and they decide the subject. So AR, basically you film that video, you put a marker, you put on a map, and you can collaborate with your peers. You can get feedback from your peers. But where it was very exciting for us the last 6 years was also to collaborate, to offer access to our students here in New Zealand to students around the world. And we worked mainly with Salford University in UK, Manchester, Strasbourg University in France, in Strasbourg, and University of Cali in Colombia. So that was the key actors. And also internally here within our country, we worked extensively with Massey, Wellington, and Unitec. So that's where we are. I think I've got one more slide to show you. What I would like you to take away from my presentation here and our collaboration with all my colleagues, it's very exciting. It's a lot of money invested at the moment around the world with all those VCs. There's a lot of money going on. And I think AUT University is very well positioned. Where is the money guy? He escaped, so sorry. But we still need to invest in it. We started 6 years ago, roughly, even probably more. Some of you will tell us your story. But yeah, we're very well positioned, so we need a little bit more investments, but we're doing that already. And the second question, the second things I would like you to take away, if you've got any mobile project, or if you are interested by that technology, please approach me, contact me. But don't buy me one of those drinks that I've shown you just earlier. All right? So thank you very much.
Greetings, everybody. My name's Maggie. This is Kim Newell. We're from CoLab as well. Just to let you know, for those of you in the room who don't know, CoLab is a school within the Design and Creative Technologies faculty. It's an interdisciplinary school, so it brings together art and design, communications, and mathematics and engineering. So it's a school that all the students who don't necessarily fit in those other categories come to us and do all sorts of mad projects. So that's who we are. I want to talk to you today about the work that Kim and I have been doing and the work I've been doing in my PhD. Just to let you know, we have a foot in CoLab, but the work you'll see today is actually our own project. So I have a social enterprise in the community, and Kim has his own professional practice, artistic practice in the community. So we're in CoLab, but we're also working with a foot elsewhere. So we've been invited to come and bring that along. How's everyone going? Still alive? Okay, great. All right, because we've got some cool things. Right, so the first project I'll talk a little bit about was a project that emerged out of my PhD and then became a postdoctoral process. I live in Papakura. I have lived there all my life, and I'm connected with Papakura Marae, and I've been doing a project in collaboration with Immersia Group at Papakura Marae using augmented reality technology and geolocative technology. So essentially what that means in practice is that you go on the marae and you can hear and see stories that you can't see if you're not standing on marae grounds. And if you hold your phone over carvings and various items inside the wharenui, they will talk to you and play video content and digital content. So they come alive in the same way that they normally do anyway within an Indigenous worldview. But I guess a superficial version of that is what I've been working with Kaumātua to achieve. So the Marae app is a combination between my social enterprise, Awhi World, Immersia Group and Papakura Marae, and it's actually evolving into a social enterprise, so the work will actually pay back the marae and all of our groups. The app was built with the tikanga of the marae in mind, so you can't actually get the material until you're standing on the marae and also get passwords. It also has a karakia and a mihi built into it so that you actually hear that before you hear the material. So it was built alongside people at the marae, so it fitted in with the way that they engaged in their own practices. The material is completely bilingual in terms of interface. You flick a button and the whole thing changes over into te reo. That includes all of the markers and all of the material and advice. And when you walk around the marae, you will see a wayfinding app, so you can see the stories that exist there. In terms of the augmented reality aspect, if you flick your phone up, you can see where the stories are located. And as I mentioned, if you hold your phone over certain carvings, the visual recognition aspects of the software we're using will allow the camera to recognise that object and play digital content depending on what it's showing. Does that make sense, or is that too much jargon? Yep, okay, good. So we're still in the process of building that up, and it's part of an ecosystem of learning I'm developing with the marae involving physical books, e-books, and various other things. So in terms of Awhi World, that's something that I've collaborated with Kim on in the community, and among some of the other projects. Awhi World is a collective of artists, activists and practitioners who are engaged in doing different kinds of cool things. It's about the spirit of place and how you activate that by bringing together new technologies and traditional technologies. So it's essentially about the spirit of place and how we support that. Place Stories, I'll get you to say a little bit about this. Place Stories was a project we did for Matariki. Place Stories uses technology that places stories, audio content around the town, and the audio content was developed in relation to spaces and places around the town, and it was a diverse mix of people in Papakura. When we use the term augmented reality, I think at the moment there's lots of different ways that's being used. The computer scientists in the room will argue against that, but actually when you augment reality in any way, even if it's sound or smell and various other ways, you are in a sense augmenting the space. So that's essentially what we were doing with Place Stories. Kim, did you want to say anything about that, or?
No.
Not this one.
Next one.
So Place Stories, we had a number of artists who created works, and again, a wayfinding app, and this was an augmented reality version that sat in a gallery where you could place your phone, the iPad over different portals that were created by a contemporary Māori artist, and the portals would play different sounds according to the different kinds of diverse poets and contemporary musicians and so forth that we had involved. Another project, this one was in collaboration with a group in the community doing digital literacy, and this is Mama Piri, and she's demonstrating one of our Awhi Flora apps, and Awhi Flora is based on New Zealand flora and fauna. What you see here is a flower that's emerging out of a physical seed, and we did beading workshops in the community. So people beaded necklaces and made these necklaces and bracelets and jewellery, and then held their phone over it and the jewellery came to life. So they learnt about digital stuff using physical craft materials. And I think in terms of embodiment, that's part of your practice a bit as well, isn't it, Kim?
Yeah.
I keep prompting.
Haven't rehearsed this very
The
well.
goal is to jump in
Got many
occasionally,
thoughts. So just finding a good way to get into it. Yeah, I guess it's really important, but kind of both the digital and the real world kind of coexisting at the same time. And also with people who are using them. So I guess with this, people are physically making stuff as well as doing digital work at the same time, and I guess it's really important not just to be disembodied as, I guess, in VR and going into another world, that this is part of the world, or we're exposing another world, and that's a good way it can be used. And it's a good way to actually get people to relate to technology as well.
And I guess we're also seeing technology as a tool, not for the sake of it. So we could actually just have done a beading workshop and various other things, but we wanted to bring those two worlds together, and it kind of expands people's minds as to what reality is in a certain sense. This is another project that we have ongoing with a rest home. So it's called Augmenting Elders, and we've done a number of augmented reality projects with elders in the community, building mad hats, doing different kinds of augmented dresses in this case over a period of months, and introducing them to what augmented reality technology is and helping them, enabling them to create and bespoke some of the apps that we've created as well, so they feel involved in that process.
Yeah, I think that with working with our elders, I guess it's really empowering for them to be included in what's happening now, and which has been really rewarding for us, because usually we think of just, I guess, using this type of technology with kids and then adults, and then we forget about elderly. So yeah.
And then another project with kids is actually doing crafted materials using templates and then augmenting the creatures with crafted markers. So you get the marker and then you add it on, and in some of the workshops kids have been developing in Blender their own augmented reality tails and wings and things like that. So this is, you can actually see here, This is actually, the boomerang-looking thing is completely created by a child on Blender and then coloured in various other things. So they're kind of augmenting their little interdimensional creatures, essentially.
Yeah, and I guess part of it is we've been using this technology to teach other people, including students here. So having good workflows which they can use and that they can explore and experiment with the technology in quite an easy way and not get bogged down with technical details of how it all works.
And this project we did in Papakura Township. It's called Awhi Creatures. So on a certain date, a number of interdimensional creatures appeared in portals all around the town. And the portals were hosted by different businesses and the portals moved. And you found out about the portals by sharing information on social media, and they were clues based on Papakura's heritage. And you also had to connect with locals to find out where some of the creatures were as well. And so the different creatures, that's an augmented creature you can only see through a phone flying there, the moth. So some of you afterwards, if you haven't before, can go out and see some of the Awhi creatures flying out in the foyer. And what happened was we actually got, Kim started it with his own designs because he's a fine artist as well as a programmer. And then the kids were invited in workshops to actually make the sounds and make the creature skins. So they made them feel at home in Papakura. So this project again was to get kids to understand what place belonging was about, what the spirit of place was about, but also how that digital stuff can be incorporated in that. This is Kim standing next to one. That poor creature actually got moved several times because it got tagged once, unfortunately, and then someone stole it because they loved it so much. And then the people at the op shop where it was being hosted decided to take it home, so we kind of had to keep getting the creature back. That was that was some of the kids on the workshop that we did. A few of the different workshops we did using the technology. So I guess in our mind, the mixed reality, augmented reality is a different kind of terminology that we would use because we're dealing in multiple realities anyway in terms of cultures, digital and physical, that kind of thing. But essentially what we're aiming for is to integrate emerging technology with traditional technologies that people already have so they don't feel like that's redundant. And secondly, how can we use the technologies to support and act as tools within strategic things like community development and so forth, rather than just be done for the sake of it. So I guess we're looking at the applications of it, which are quite practical. So the next steps would be looking at, I think you're looking at, for example, Google Cardboard and...
Yeah, there's always different ways, but one idea we've got is to, get kids to use virtual reality mixed with augmented reality with making their own Google Cardboard and costumes and etc. So it's a bit of both worlds.
Yeah, so that's kind of our practical application of that. So just turning over to Stefan.
Okay, I'm sort of closing off this section, and I'm focusing more on the virtual reality side, where you actually see me mostly around in my office with this thing on and being completely oblivious of what's happening to me. I'm going to be director of the Sentience Lab, which is something that we're going to open here roughly in November. Business plan and all of that is on the go. And the name Sentience is actually the key word in there, because as much as I love VR and being completely immersed in a complete different world somewhere, I actually think we're focusing too much on the visual. It's everything about pixels and precision and seeing stuff. Right now, people are getting the idea, maybe we should have audio as well. But in Sentience Lab, we're also going to look at much more in terms of which senses can you get into the mix to experience a virtual space better, or what we're also going to look at is actually data, dry, abstract data, visualized or actually made experienceable, maybe, if that's a word, with more than just the visual sense. So how do we do that? Right there in this room, WG212 is one facility that was planned into this building from the very beginning, mainly for motion capture from the Digital Design School. So where we have effectively the thing that you've seen for Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, maybe people getting those spandex suits with all the fancy dots on there. And then there's heaps of cameras around you that track those dots, do some amazing mathematics, which I have no idea how that works, but they effectively tell you where each of these dots is in space down to sub-millimeter precision more than 100 times per second. So you know exactly where something is in space. And when I looked at this Motion Capture Lab the first time, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So you guys do your recordings, and then a week later, after you've cleaned up the data and put it in a 3D program, you get your movie. Nice. Can I do that in real time? Can I do it right now, right here in this millisecond? And effectively, we take something like this, we put markers on it, do some fancy programming, geeky stuff with the data, and you can effectively now look at anything that you can represent in a 3D program in real time in front of your eyes. In stereo. Sadly not haptical yet, but yeah, either on yourself or something else I'm interested in with several people looking at the same stuff. I'm not going to bore you with the technology. We have wireless capabilities, which is an advantage to some of the things you can see that you can buy right now, where you're tethered to a cable to a machine, and more than often things like this happen because you're tethered to a machine. We don't have that. We can walk in a 4x4 meter space around the thing, and effectively just have a little pouch with a battery and a receiver. Custom hardware, because I'm also teaching electronics in CoLab, well, I should set an example of what you can do with that, so I built some custom hardware. And what are we doing? For example, KEDRI, the Knowledge Engineering and Discovery Research Institute around Nick Kazabov, they have a 3-dimensional artificial neural network structure, which is fairly complex, and has its limitations to look at just on a 2D screen. So I gave them a 3D visualization so they can effectively walk through a brain while it's thinking. And one of the ideas is we actually want to measure our own EEG data and then visualize our own thinking while we're looking at our brain thinking about what we're looking at. So some inception happening here. It's quite interesting. I've got a video of the things that we've done so far. There's a data set here from Physics Institute at Auckland University. What I see there, these dots, is the density of dark matter in our universe. There's a data set from NASA. And I look at these videos online, I'm like, yep, that's quite interesting. But if I am standing in front of my planet Earth, virtual, and I see the CO2 developing in winter on the northern hemisphere, it gives me a different feeling for the thing. The fragility of our little blue marble compared to when I'm just looking at a video on YouTube. So I see the strength in immersive visualization there. We've got some applications like Stonehenge. You can move the sun around the sky throughout the day, throughout the year, see what eclipse, what is it called? What do we have on the 20th? Big solstice. You actually know what that means when the sun suddenly stops and then goes back. So that's quite tangible. Yes, we have entertainment, so everybody wants to see the Star Wars and wants to fight with the lightsabers, but yeah. Okay, now about the teaching, because Laurent said we are actually quite well set here at AUT, and I can really, it's the case. Our students here have access to modern facilities, and the teachers are teaching the stuff that prepares them for these modern and the coming facilities. So digital design, motion capture minors are there, and the later papers even go into the real-time application of that. I teach the Computer Science 770 paper, which is virtual reality, and I teach it in that space. So we're not sitting in the office and just dryly talking about what is in headset and what is data. We actually go down there, and the students collect data, they build their own 3D visualizations, and then we put them inside of that. And suddenly they see more than just on a flat screen at home. So that's an example of a student looking at one of his visualizations about, I think, bandwidth of Steam servers, whatever. This is my class specifically, so instead of just dryly talking about what is it to actually program a physics simulation, actually go in there and play with it. And what happens if I turn off gravity? What happens if I ramp up the friction? Whatever. You experiment with it. You don't have it on a screen with just numbers. You do. And the student on the other picture, he's actually currently painting something in space. And with a push of a button, we save that in a file, give it through the 3D printer, and he can actually take the thing home within 36 hours. We're working on that. And this is currently the future. So who has heard of Magic Leap? Okay. $1 or $2 billion, how much did they stuff in that? It's very secretive, so it's actually no wonder nobody hears about it. It's Weta Digital. Now it looks like ILM, Light and Magic, Skywalker Sound. Heaps of big industries in the entertainment area are doing something there which is going to revolutionize the way we use that as a mixed reality. The other one that people have heard about, HoloLens. Yep, a bit more. So the idea is take virtual reality and the fact that you isolate it in your thing, and actually you can see the reality as it is there, but the virtual stuff is on top of that. But with the addition of the device is scanning, it's understanding its environment. It says, here's a hard surface, there's a hard surface, there's a wall. I can take virtual stuff and splat it against the wall. I can take a screen and fix it there, and whenever I look over there, it's still there. I can take the ball that you described and let it drop, and it rolls under the table. It vanishes under the table. These are things that are not trivial, but Microsoft has managed to put that into a great hardware. And when they talked about, when we went there with the ICT department, and they talked about the workflow, I was quite amazed to find out, hey, actually, I'm already teaching my students the pipeline, how they can create content for this device. So whenever this thing is going to be available, currently it's 18 months waiting time, our students will be prepared. So that was a very positive thing to learn. So you can see what's happening there, for example, anatomy as an anatomy tool. And not only one person looking at that virtual beating heart here, but the whole class standing around and people be able to, okay, stop this. Let's open the left ventricle. Let's have a look at the flap there. Actually, do you see something? So you can use it as a thing that is in front of you in life size. And the other video over there is like, you could present things as a 3D visualization, again, to the whole class. Yeah, so we prepare our students for the future. Which future? Hopefully not that one, because that is a video currently running out there. It's a dystopian view of what if we have this augmented reality in our eyes all the time, and it can be hacked and whatever. So this is hopefully not how it's going to look like. And I think this is our task as the educators here, to give our students not only the tools and the knowledge to create content, but also the wisdom, what content. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, that was amazing. Just to see also that we're doing this. Hang on. Did you say hang on?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.